Oh, crud. I'm getting drunk in the woods. I just stepped in a bog. Check that out. I don't give a damn. Anyway, I'm drinking in the woods right now. I'm drinking the Sapporo, supported by Mick and Fumi's thing. Mick, I still have that beer you gave me. I haven't drank it yet. I don't know why. I just keep It's not that I forget about it. Because I'm saving it for a special occasion. And that hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to drink it, though. I keep waiting for it to settle. Mick left me a great bottle of homebrew when he came to visit. Anyway, thank you, Mick. I got to talk. I'm drinking, and I'm walking, and I'm hiking, and I'm enjoying the woods at the same time. I want to talk to you guys about something that's been on my mind all day. This is my first beer, by the way. It's really good. Sapporo. 140 miles per hour. I mentioned it in passing today in the video loud music. And I saw in comments that some people had some interest in the idea of 140 miles per hour. What the heck? There's those weirdo birdies I hear. Anyway, I'll get closer. The weirdo birdies are up there somewhere. Let's go see if we can find them. Look at that for a second while I ramble. And I hear water down there. Anyway, some people mentioned in comments that they thought the idea of 140 miles per hour was interesting, and Molly made a comment about the danger of it. And I wanted to share with you, you know, for whatever it's worth, no, that's nothing, my experience with 140 miles per hour. It seems to be a number that I hit sometimes when I'm farting in the woods. Look, it's up there, that's nice. I'm going to censor this video. This road is wet, very, very wet, and I'm a little bit drunk. Look at my face, I'm red already. I only drank half this thing. Having fun. Anyway, what is going on? You birds. Am I making you guys nervous? I guess so. Anyway, let's go. Fork in the road coming up. Which way should I go? I usually go right here. Now, usually is boring, so let's go left. I don't even remember what's up this way. It's been so long. So, 140 miles per hour. Why is that number important to me? Well, it's a number, it's the fastest I've ever gone on terrestrially, in a vehicle. I've gone faster in an airplane, of course. But it's the fastest I've ever gone in a vehicle. And I'll tell you about a few of my experiences with 140 and how it's impacted me, and maybe some anecdotes related to this. This might be a long video. Pardon me. You can hear the pretty sounds of the water. This pretty trail. The birdies. Lots of spiders. I'm walking through spider webs. I probably got them crawling on me. Okay, my first experience with 140 miles an hour. I mentioned in passing in the other video, the loud music video. When I was a teenager, after I got my driver's license, my parents started teaching me how to drive when I was about 14 and a half. They take us out to the dump out there past 3 points out there in the desert and let me drive around. And my mom would always admonish me to keep my hands on the wheel, not to be a goofball. Anyway, so I've been driving since I was about 14 and a half, 14 or something like that. But my first car was a Camaro Rally Sport. I've talked about it several times before. It was an amazing vehicle. I sure love that. Oh, here's another fork in the road. Which way should we go? This is the trail that has steps and is well worn. This is the trail that goes nowhere. It's got overgrown. I feel like Robert Frost. Two trails diverge in the wood, and I chose the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. Monte Cristo. Let's go to the one less traveled. Here we go. Seems to be where the birds are, too. Okay, that was a fart. Ooh, big spider. This is also good for spiders. We'll also get spiders in our legs. I had that Camaro Rally Sport, white Camaro. Gosh, I love that vehicle. I had it for so long. It was the vehicle that I dated Yumiko, and when I first saw her, I was an hour late to pick her up because it kept breaking down all the time. Anyway, excuse me. No one's going to hang on but the dudes after I keep burping like this. Anyway, mom and dad gave me that car deliberately and for a reason. Part of the reason was that they wanted to give me a piece of crap junker. It was in bad shape to teach me how to work on cars, and I did. I learned how to rebuild cars with that thing. I used to rebuild the engine out in the open there with a big old blue tarp to cover it up. Anyway, my brother Lyle was much more adept at taking care of the engines, and he juiced it out a little bit. I think it had headers on it, and it had a dual pumper carburetor. I don't remember the lingo. Lyle's much better than I at that stuff. Anyway, let's just pop down here for a second and get our butt wet. Act as mosquito bait. Anyway, that was such a great car, and every weekend, the concept of cruising the boulevard, people don't do that anymore, I don't think. When I was young, they would cruise the boulevard, go down to Lancaster Boulevard. I lived in Lake Hughes. Go down to Lancaster Boulevard on a Friday or Saturday night and cruise chicks. Now, my friends and I, we were the biggest goofballs, so we didn't have a chance. But we'd drive up and down the boulevard there and we'd out the window, "Hey, baby!" I remember David Hall. David might see this video. David, I think he'll see this video. I'm going to post this on Facebook. David's a friend of mine on Facebook. David, do you remember the night we were cruising the boulevard in the Camaro? And you leaned out the window, and you thought you were going to be really, the hot thing, and you said to those girls, and you said, "Hey, baby, you want to..." Classic line. We all busted up. We thought that was the greatest thing we'd ever heard. We didn't care about getting the girls. We thought that was so funny. David, you were great. Do you remember, David, that was the same night that we decided to take on those punks. Remember those guys that pulled over? We were parked in that parking lot, and those guys came up. The jocks came up. We were the dweebs. The jocks came up, and they pulled out, and they were going to beat us up. And one of us pulled out a knife, and they grabbed the knife, wrestled the knife out of her hand, and told her, it was really bad. Remember that, David? We were dumb shits, weren't we? Ooh, that's the first time I've said a four-letter word in a long time. She's being softy papa. It trains me not to say those kind of things, but when I'm drunk in the woods on the LylesBrother channel, I can. So anyway, David, hopefully you remember that story. But do you remember David? I'm going to talk a little bit to David now, because he was there, and he'll see this video. I hope he'll see it. I'm going to send it to him. David, do you remember how Lyle and I would go on Friday, Saturday night, Lyle and I would drive up to your parents' place up there, up the canyon, on Pine Canyon Road, pick you up, and we'd go down and get Lynn Gambrell in what was that place? Rio de Verde or something like that, Leona Valley. And then we'd come back and we'd go down over the pass, and remember, you go down that pass, and then we turn right at one of those avenues, was it Avenue K or Avenue L or something like that, on the way to Palmdale, and have that long stretch. You remember what we'd do on a summer evening? We'd roll those windows down, four of us, you, me, Lyle, and Lynn, shirtless, and we'd accelerate. The car would, I'd pump that thing down, and that Camaro, that speedometer would begin to rise, passing 70, passing 80, excuse me. I've got gas to make it all the way to 140. Look at that flower! Holy crap! This is like from, whoa, big spider. This is like from Little Shop of Horrors. What the hell is this? Eat me! Look at this thing. Just growing naturally out here in the friggin' woods. That's kind of spooky. Anything up there? Okay, I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. I gotta move. You remember that, David? And we'd push up. We'd pass the 100 mile an hour mark. And we didn't really give it much thought, because we were focusing on the tunes. Man, I think I had my 8-track then. You remember that, David? Had the 8-track? We popped that sucker in. I don't remember what we were listening to, and I'm embarrassed to admit the only thing I can remember that we listened to then was REO's Speedwagon. God! Taking on the run, baby. That's the way you want it, baby. I can't remember how to sing. I mean, what lame music, but it was really cool at the time. Also, we had AC/DC Back in Black. We were sophomores in high school. Or freshmen. Well, I remember with sophomores, must have been, because I was driving. And we had, and AC/DC was out, and I think we had AC/DC, REO Speedwagon, whatever the heck it was, all those things, and we would accelerate 100, 110. The wind is coming through. You guys are all back there. The music is pumping. We're cooling back. Those bucket seat things were great. Oh, in the back of the guys, oh man, 125. 130. Now, when I got the Camaro up to about 125, 130 range, it became a little unstable. The motor was winding out. That tachometer was up there high, and the car became moving a little. I had to, hold on both hands. I can't do it with the camera to make sure that I was scared. I never told you guys this, but I was scared taking it that fast. 130. 130 level, I kind of ease off a little bit and stabilize there. And the only reason we were able to go that fast with that thing was because that avenue, that's the end of the Mojave Desert where we were. That's the very tip. That is the westward end of the desert in the United States, right there at that point where it goes to those lakes there, that artificial lake, right there. And it slopes down towards the dry lakes down there, towards the Edwards Air Force Base and the dry lakes down there. It slopes down, and that gentle slope gave us the gravity acceleration, moving in to the gravity well that we did, that I could get past. The Camaro inherently could probably get to 125, 130, but with that gravity boost, that's what did it. When we'd push up past 130, the car would start to rock a little bit, swing. And I'd push it up, and we would gently at 135 on our way. See that mosquito over my head? They're coming after me right now. On our way further. You guys were enjoying the music. You guys were talking to one another. I was scared. 140. We touch off at 140. Now I didn't try to get the car farther than that. I left it, usually stopped at 140. And the car would just begin to, in an awkward kind of a fall. When I could feel it. You know, there's nobody out there. Blackness on either side. Those big giant avenues, one mile avenue, one after another, going down towards Palmdale. Now it's all developed, I'm sure, but it was empty, blackness out there. Just cruising on, no lights, nothing, just Lancaster way off in the distance. And there we would go. And that car would just be, not a comfortable shake, but kind of an awkward holding on for dear life. And I was holding on for dear life. There was no alcohol involved. There was no drugs or anything like that. It was just pure the madness of 16, the madness of whatever, 17. I don't remember how old we were, teenagers, high school. That kept us on. Now I would bring it up to 140, and it was almost a routine that I would, keep it at that level, and then ease it off after about 3 minutes. 3 or 4 minutes would be max, and that was a long 3 minutes. For me, because I was the driver. Because I felt like, as Molly pointed out in comments on the Loud Music video, you know, driving at 140 miles an hour, that's really that's a mistake away from death for everybody. You know, you guys may not have known it, but I mean, I could barely control the car at that point. So there we go. That was my first experience at 140, risking the lives of my friends. The stupidity of youth, and this beautiful forest is before us, and I don't know where the heck the trail is, but who cares? Because the trails are for suckers. Let's go on to the next experience of 140. The next experience of 40 I have less of an excuse for because I was older. Supposedly more mature. And not yet a father, but I was a husband. And that experience happened with my best friend in the whole world, Lyle Regan Bell. Yes, he is indeed named after Ronald Reagan. Yeah, but we call him Regan. Called him Ringle when we were kids. Yeah, hey, Jen, if you don't know that, it's his wife. Call him Ringle, that's his nickname. Let's venture up here through the, push through the darkness here as the evening falls. Lyle and I, my best friend in the whole world, we hated each other when we were kids, became comrades in arms when we were adolescents, and deepest lifelong companions in adulthood. That's why I am Lyle's brother, because whenever I go back to the States, people always say, "Are you Lyle's brother?" And I'm so proud to say, yes, I am Lyle's brother. That's who I am. More than Softy Papa, more than anything else. Lyle's brother, and equally Emily's father, and Yumiko's husband, and Lorraine's son. There you go. But anyway, I digress. Lyle and I, we have been, like I said, this is going to be a long video. Pardon me. Lyle and I have a long experience with speed. Big spider web. Who knows? It's probably crawling on me now. That deserves a swig. Let's go this way instead. I don't want to break the web. Anyway, we have a long experience with speed. I have to mention in other videos that Lyle and I were introduced to motorcycles, dirt bikes when we were just lads, 10 years old or so. And by the time we were in our mid-teens, we were adept, if I can say so myself. It's very bad taste in Japan to speak highly of yourself, but what the heck, I'm an American drunk in a forest in Japan, I can all talk as I wish. We were badass, is what we were. And my friends that might see this, Jennifer, Mark, Rachel, the people who know us then might say, he's just boasting, he was just a dweeb. And I am a dweeb. But at least in our own minds, we were. We would go out riding with the families, and everyone, we usually go out riding as a group. Whoa! But once in a while, Lyle and I would pop off our tanks. My Yamaha water-cooled 125, Lyles Honda, whatever the heck that was. I think it was a 125 as well. We top off the tanks out there in every time I make a video and I try to mention this, I can't remember the name of the friggin' lake. El Mirage, that's it. El Mirage Dry Lake. That's right. El Mirage Dry Lake out there past Palmdale and Lancaster. We'd head out there, and we would. My parents always camped way out in the hills there, in the dry hills out there, because they didn't want to be close to the lake where all the crazies were. And have those kids killed. But Lyle and I would top off our tanks when we were older, and we'd head off together. And speed would begin. Now we couldn't get to 140 on our dirt bikes because it's just not possible. You can't do that on the desert, and the bikes weren't fast enough to. They weren't powerful enough to do that anyway. But we would weave. Lyle and I had. It was almost like my friend here in Japan. He's a marathon runner, and he runs marathons with blind people, and they have a little tether that they carry. They run together. That he guides. He just tugs on it, and he says after a while the tether's almost not necessary. It's an almost unspoken, unfeeling thing that they just go one another. And that's what Lyle and I were like after all those years of riding. We would get out there together in this creosote embedded, sagebrush embedded desert, and we would bring those two 125cc bikes up to speed, racing through the desert. Boom, boom. Just, it was like almost like Star Wars, you know, with two whatever the heck they call, TIE fighters or whatever the hell they call, the Imperial things. Boom, 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 through the creosote bushes, weaving, dodging. Not a single word was saying. Hit the main trail where the whoop-de-doos were on, and we get back there, lean back, boom, 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 just gunning it, and just skipping across the top of the whoops, heading over to that mountain that we all called lovingly the Witch's Tit, which I could not climb when I was a little boy. It was impossible on our little Yamaha 80s. It was so difficult, but with those 125s, we'd eat up the Witch's Tit to the top, hit the top, not a word was spoken, spin around, back down the other dang side, and head out towards El Mirage Dry Lake, where we'd burst upon the lake and open those bikes up for all they were worth to, I don't know what speed, they didn't have speedometers, and we would ride in Tambo across that awesome flat space, the same type of place where the space shuttle lands, kind of just like the Bonneville Salt Flats, side by side. Take that forward 20 years to adult men. Very powerful motorcycle. Lyles with his Suzuki Bandit 1200cc beast. Me with my BMW R1100 GS out for a 1-month jaunt across the United States. Non-stop riding. We were riding. There was nothing in between. We were riding for 10, 15 hours a day on that ride. We were going. We just stopped long enough to crash. And we became one with our bikes. Our minds melded into one while we were riding. There was no speaking necessary. And we would hit stretches of openness periodically. And we would, just like when we were boys, we would space out on these open stretches of road with nothing around, whether it would be in Wyoming or in the Panamint Valley, on the roads off the Panamint Range in California, or off in the east side of Oregon, wherever it would be. We would just spread out equally on those lanes and roar those bikes up to 140 miles an hour. We always stopped at 140. But unlike when I was a teenager, where we would only hover there for 4 minutes, we stayed at 140. As long as the straightaway maintained, as long as there was nobody around, as long as there was no chance of interfering with others. Wordless, unspoken speed between the two of us. And we would switch bikes. Sometimes I rode his bike, sometimes he rode mine. And I got the experience of 140 in 3 different manners. In the Camaro, which was like riding a car wreck about to happen. That was, 140 was like a frightening, scary experience, with young male testosterone pushing me to pretend that it wasn't scary. Now it's getting all tangled here. How the heck am I going to get through here? We'll find a way. From that, we'll have to climb up there somehow. Holy Moses. From that to, I'm going to fall down, to the speed of the 125cc dirt bike that Lyle and I enjoyed together. The unspoken camaraderie and understanding that came between us. I am in danger of falling through a deadfall right now. Look at this. There's nothing down there but holes and everything. And I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes right now. To the mature danger and excitement, just like now. Cheers. Of 1200 and 1100 cc's to 140 miles an hour on the open areas. That, you get to see my beer, that was, to me, the pinnacle of 140 miles an hour. And Lyle and I would venture out like that and have our experiences. The best one of all, I remember, the very best. I don't know if I can climb it. It's nearly vertical here. The very best of all was one night we had just left. What the hell is that? Here's something big. We had just left Idaho, I think it was, and we had crossed into eastern Oregon. I'm gonna have to put the camera down. I need all my hands, all two of them, to climb this. You guys can sit here for a second with the beer. Here. Forgive me for a second. Here, I gotta climb. I need both my hands to climb here. There's the beer. This is vertical here, by kids and adults. I'm not kidding you. I mean, I'm on a vertical slope here. Oh, I found something. Oof. Shit. Now this could really fall. I could fall. Let me throw the camera up here. Camera, you wait. There. Sorry guys, sorry. It's no fun to watch me. Yeah! Here, my beer's not gonna tip. I don't want to lose any beer. Oh yeah, shut up! Friggin' hickin', bejesus, Louises. Or something to grab onto. That's not any worth. Oh, here's something. Crud bunny. Oops. Shit. Fuck. I made it. Fuck. Whoop! Ow! That was the thorn bush. Time for a swig, but there's friggin' crap in my beer. It just fell in. Oh well. Protein. Okay. Ow. Well, that hurt. Ooh, that trail looks interesting. But let's go this way. Sometimes it's better to take the way that's doesn't look as interesting, because the interesting way is the way that everybody goes. Hey, I'm on a real trail now. That sucks. But that's less of a trail. This is a real trail. That's less of a trail. Let's go this way. What the hell is down there? I just drank whatever the hell fell in. So anyway, 140 miles an hour. Okay, here it is. Lyle and I have no idea where I am. I've never been here before. There's a camp down there. So anyway, 140. Oh yeah, Eastern Oregon. We stop at. We are on this ride. We had been riding for 10 hours at least. We had crossed out of this amazing. We had gone to the BMW rally in somewhere in Idaho, and we had come to this incredible gorge. We stopped, swam in the river. We were just. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And we reached this point. I don't like this. There's crap down there. There's people down there. I don't want to get there. Let's go back. Let's go back this way. Anyway, I promise I'll keep it interesting. You don't want to see where I've just been, but I'll keep this interesting. We got to this point, 10 hours in. It was dark. We had stopped at this gas station. We saw on the map that there was this route towards someplace called Mitchell Rock. The only thing I can remember was Mitchell Rock. It was this piece of tiny little rock that would have been nothing anywhere else, but this little tiny town, I don't remember what the town's name, maybe it's called Mitchell, somewhere in Oregon, has this thing called Mitchell Rock. It's a little tiny little rock, and it was the big deal there. And we were heading out towards a place that had Mitchell Rock in it. And we stopped at this gas station in this medium-sized city. And man, we were battle scarred. We hadn't had a bath for a week. We were just, gristly and grimy and worn out, and nothing could stop us. We were like battle warriors, the two of us. And we pulled in, and the dude that was working there, and he was a dude of the dudiest sense, and he told us, he said, there's one cop between here and the next 100 miles on this little road that we had planned. And it was like 10, I don't remember, 9, it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. There's one cop It was later than that. It must have been 10 or 11 or something like that. He said, one cop, and he's asleep. And there's no traffic. You know what that means? Clear sailing. Lyle and I looked at each other, put on our helmets, got our gear ready, got on the mount of those bikes, and we headed out for our nighttime 140. Before we got to the winding stretches, there was a long straightaway. We both brought those bikes up to about 120 as we zipped along the long straightaway. Cruising speed. We got into the twisties. Nighttime twisties. Daytime twisties are amazing. Nighttime twisties are invigorating. They're startling in their feeling. We got into the nighttime twisties. And Lyle and I just moved. We would take turns leading. I think I was leading that night. I would be in front of that big BMW. Vroom, diving through the turns. Vroom, as we entered into those canyons. Lyle back there. All those memories when we were boys. Going through the creosote bushes. Crashing into the creosote bushes, horrendous crashes. That's important. That's what makes it ready for when you want to get to the big stuff. And we were silently moving through those things. And the rain is coming down. The camera's getting wet. I don't give a darn. Time for another drink. We moved through the night, at least 2 hours into those twisties. Just an expression of man and machine, 2 men and machine along that road. Until we reached this open spot. The stars were above, and sounds so cliche-ish, but it was true. The stars were above, and the hulks of mountains that we were coming to were ahead of us. It wasn't a long straightaway, but it was long enough. The hulks of the mountains were ahead of us. Just like this trail winding down. I could see it ahead. I was in the lead, and I accelerated. I knew Lyle would do so in turn. I knew he'd take up his position next to me, as he always did, and I always did for him when he was leading. I accelerated up to 110, 120. Now, with the BMW and Lyle's Bandit, 120, 130 was no big experience at all. We had often tested those bikes to extreme speeds. They held stable. Lyle's bike was faster off. We had drag raced a couple of times, and he was faster off the starting gate. But I would easily. I shouldn't say easily, not easily at all. The big BMW, that 1200cc, I had 100 cc's on him. No, he had 100 cc's on me. No, he had, but for some reason, my BMW could go faster, I think. I think that's how it was. I could go faster, but he got off the line faster. But we would take off, and we would accelerate. We would get those babies up to speed. And that night, we got them up to speed, 110, 120, and Lyle came over beside me there, on the road there, side by side, in the night, 2 lights piercing through the darkness, racing instead of being in the Camaro racing up, we are together in sync racing up towards the higher speeds, reaching up towards 130, finally 135. Now with Lyle's bike, 135 was like riding a stallion, a wild stallion. You got to hold on for dear life. It wasn't going to stumble. It wasn't going to fall. But if you weren't careful, you might fall. You might fall off the damn thing. His bike was like that. His bike was raw, sheer power. The BMW, on the other hand, was a jet fighter. It was an incredible piece of machinery, so finely tuned. At 20 miles an hour and 120 miles an hour, the engine didn't sound any different. It had that same steady drone. If you've ever heard a true BMW Boxer engine run, and not some Hollywood makeup thing, you see these things. They don't make an impressive sound, yet they are incredibly awesome machines. And I would get that thing up there, and it would just hum. Lyle's bike would be over there whining, but whining with power. And it's a different type of machine, different purpose. We'd get up there and reach that 135 and then up to 140 and then ease off. And together, just one after another, just right alongside each other at 140 miles an hour, racing along towards the hulks of those black mountains that were beyond, and somewhere where there was Mitchell Rock. Let's go down this way now. Let's go down and find our way back into the depths now. And 140 miles an hour was an easy thing then. It was a natural thing. It was something that required no thought and no effort at all on our parts. It simply meant holding on and keeping the pace, especially as we had been riding for so long together along that trip. We reached the campground that night, fell into sleep. Woke in the morning to a thunderstorm crashing in the distance. And I'll always remember that night as our third and last experience at 140. And certainly my last. I will never do that again. The folly of youth is something that is both a bane and a blessing to those who experience it. If you can survive it, and especially if you don't hurt anybody in the process, it's a blessing, and also something that you can relate to others if you are fortunate to do so. Have somebody that might be interested, anybody that might have hung on so long to this incredibly long drinking video in the forest. Be careful with your speed, whatever it may be. If it's speed in terms of your living, or a speed in terms of your thinking, it can either one can be dangerous. And with this, I'm going to say goodnight. My beer is just about done. Let's take a final swig. And I will descend now into the darker forest and explore what's beyond. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.